My name is Sarah Grant, and I'll never forget the night a single joke at dinner changed the way I saw my husband, our marriage, and even myself. It was meant to be a cheerful evening, our 10th anniversary, celebrated with close friends at a cozy restaurant we loved. The place buzzed with conversation, wine glasses clinking, soft jazz drifting through the air. I had planned everything: a table by the window, a cake waiting in the kitchen, and a few light-hearted stories to keep the mood lively. Everything was perfect until it wasn't. Michael sat across from me, calm as always, tie loosened, smiling politely while our friends teased us about surviving a decade together. "So, what's the secret?" someone asked, half in jest. Without thinking, I grinned and said, "Oh, easy. Patience and pretending not to notice when he forgets my birthday." Laughter rippled around the table. It was supposed to be harmless, just a tiny joke to keep things light. But Michael didn't laugh. His smile faltered for a split second, so brief I almost missed it. Then he set down his fork and looked at me, voice quiet but clear. "That's funny, Sarah." The table went still. Laughter died instantly, replaced by an awkward silence that stretched far too long. My chest tightened. Color drained from my face. "What's that supposed to mean?" I asked, forcing a shaky smile. "Nothing," he said, calm as ever. "Just making conversation." But the chill in his tone was unmistakable. Our friends shifted uneasily. Someone tried to change the subject, but the damage was done. The rest of the dinner passed in tense quiet, each clink of cutlery sounding heavier than usual. When the check arrived, I was already holding back tears. The drive home was wordless. Once inside, I finally confronted him. What was that about? I demanded. He sighed, loosening his collar. "You embarrass me, Sarah. Again." "It was a joke," I said. "Everyone knew that." "Did I look like I was laughing?" he asked, voice steady but sharp. "You always do this. Make fun of me in front of people, then act like I'm overreacting." "Michael, it wasn't serious," I said, exasperated. "It was just a throwaway comment." He looked at me, not angry, just deeply tired. "Do you know how many times you've done that? Little jokes about me forgetting things, being too quiet, not being romantic enough. Everyone laughs and I play along, but it chips away. It makes me feel small." His words hit harder than I expected. I opened my mouth to argue, but nothing came out. For years, I had thought my teasing was harmless, even affectionate. But as I replayed our past dinners and parties, I saw it. My jokes, his strange smiles, the way he'd go quiet afterward. I had mistaken silence for acceptance. I sank onto the couch, guilt settling over me like a heavy coat. "I didn't realize." I whispered. "I swear I didn't." He nodded slowly. "I know you didn't. That's what hurts most." For a long time, neither of us spoke. The clock ticked, the refrigerator hummed, and our home felt suddenly foreign, as if we were guests in our own lives. Finally, I stood and walked over to him. "I'm sorry," I said softly. "Not just for tonight, for all of it." He looked up, eyes tired but softening. "I know you didn't mean harm, but words stick, Sarah, especially when they come from the person who's supposed to build you up." That line broke me. I sat beside him and took his hand, realizing how much I had taken his quiet strength for granted. "I'll do better, I promised. Not just with my words, but with how I see you." He squeezed my hand. "Then we'll both do better." The next morning, I found him in the kitchen making coffee. The silence between us wasn't cold anymore. It was gentle, tentative, like something fragile being rebuilt. I reached for my mug. "You know," I said, "I've been thinking, maybe the secret to 10 years isn't patience or pretending. Maybe it's listening before joking." He smiled faintly, that slow smile that reaches the eyes. "That's a secret I can live with." We spent the morning talking, really talking, about the little things we had overlooked for years. It wasn't dramatic. No tears, no grand gestures. Just two people learning to understand each other again. Weeks later, at another dinner with the same friends, the moment of truth returned. Someone teased Michael about his terrible golf game. Laughter erupted around the table. All eyes flicked to me, waiting for the usual comeback. Instead, I smiled touched his hand and said, "He's terrible at golf, sure, but he's the best partner I could have asked for." The table chuckled kindly, and Michael's face softened with something I hadn't seen in a long time. Peace. That night, driving home, he reached for my hand. "That joke," he said, "I can live with." I smiled, realizing that sometimes one uncomfortable silence is all it takes to hear what love has been trying to say all along.